It would appear that the Megatins actually did make a splash on the metagame, maybe not quite in the way that you expected, though. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. What another regional breakdown. You're probably looking at this pie chart and you're going, Robbie, there's no rogue here. Like, what's going on? You're absolutely right, Duelist, and that's why we need a ban list. So what you're looking at on this pie chart is a 5-3 split right now between 5 tier limits and 3 Sprite players out of yesterday's Arkham Regional. I don't know what more I really need to say about this point. As of this point in the format, tier limits has just surpassed Sprite so far ahead of the race. You know, the ceiling that we've started to see, the developments out of tier limits, I mean, the deck just feels infinitely better. And I think that's like the most important thing to kind of understand about this format here is the fact that because the deck has stepped so much further ahead of itself here, that it's basically become the better deck in the room. Now, when you're looking at a ban list in terms of like possible things that they could go after here, I'm not really sure because, you know, consistency and things like that definitely tend to make things a lot better. But from where we're sitting right now, yeah, this was your metagame breakdown. No Exorcist or none of those other cool, fun rogue decks that you've seen throughout time and space here. In terms of like a super competitive top cut ceiling, this really is about the upper echelon that you can really expect. Now, when you get to these regionals and you're starting to see this turnover right now, you really shouldn't be surprised. Now, the whole purpose of making this video is actually going to be the info that we saw for the first place deck. And when I get the chance here to talk about the combinations and things that actually mattered from the tins here in a second, you'll actually kind of see why this is a little bit cool overall. All right, we're going to pass on over to Decklist and Info, and I use info very, very loosely there. Now, the first deck list you're going to see here is this is an OCG list. Now, the reason why I'm using this list as the basis for this is because I do not have the first, or I believe it was the 5th place list. Anyway, 2 people made it into Top Cut using, excuse me, it was 5th place here. So 1st place and 5th place were both using Rainbow Bridge here with tier limits. Now, I once again, don't have the list, but I wanted to showcase a list out of the OCG that uses this idea so that you can get an idea of how they're incorporating this into tiers. So, Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, if there are 2 or more different monster types among the level 10 or higher monsters on the field, shuffle all cards except this, blah, blah, blah. You don't give 2 craps about that first effect. You play this for the fact that you can banish this card from your graveyard to add a Crystal Beast monster and a field spell from your deck to your hand. You're like, holy crap. So what you end up doing is you Foolish Burial Goods, drop this if you end up, you know, not seeing it milled. And then you can go search for Emerald Tortoise here, which is actually another Aqua monster. That's actually very, very important, all right, that you do have access to a Water Aqua monster because... yes, you gotta love the fact that you can match water attribute to this because this requires 1 aqua monster. Oh, well, look who fits the bill here. Alright, and then this also requires 2 aqua monsters, so you'll actually be able to make fusions based off of this. Now remember, this also does say grab a Crystal Beast monster and a field spell. So this actually ends up searching for the Paralineo off of just an interaction like this. So between seeing Foolish Burials and being able to, you know, confirm Rainbow Bridge of Salvation here with the interactions with Emerald Tortoise with the deck, I wanted to bring this up and say that this is finally starting to see some play, and it is absolutely awesome. Next up here is going to be our 3rd place Sprite list. Now, this is actually kind of interesting because Sprite innovations as of late have been kind of revolving around Gamma Burst. We've seen Gamma Burst kind of go from no play to starting to see a decent amount of play. All current, or all level 2, rank 2, and link 2 monsters currently on the field will gain 1,400 attack points to the end of this turn. Alright, now that's currently on the field, so that technically, I guess, works for the opponent too. During the main phase, or just give me during your main phase banishes from your graveyard, target a level 2, rank 2, or link 2, and negates 1400 attack to the end of your opponent's turn. I mean, you can only use one Gamma Burst effect per turn, and only once that turn, but I mean, just being able to turn a field of okay size monsters into huge giant beat sticks to basically aim to end the game seems pretty good to me. Now, you're also going to see here that we have DD Crows in here. I know Crow has seen a little bit of play as of late, but it hasn't been I guess a large amount of play is what I'm trying to say here. Like, the card is very, very good, especially, you know, until Beasted comes out later on down the line. So this is definitely good. And of course, Yield Nimble Beaver here, Yield Nimble Beaver here. I mean, why invest into Deep Sea Divas when you can just have Nimble Beaver do pretty much effectively the same thing? I also see the Talents is still seeing play here, which is good. And we've also started to see that Sprite is heading towards that point here, where you can see players actually grabbing and playing D-Shifter, because this card in Sprite just feels absolutely amazing. So I will give credit here. I love how this is working out. I love all the cool ideas that this Sprite deck kind of has had going for it. It's a little bit of I would say a little bit of a fresh breath of air for this deck. Next up is another Tier Limits deck. Now, this is by far your most basic of tier for this format. If you're not playing the Danger Package, of course. The Danger Package, while it was seeing a lot of play recently, honestly, I think people might consider the Danger Package still like the way to go about playing the current format, just strictly because when you look at like the way that this deck functions, I mean, being able to just danger trigger your effects, get further into the deck, it's fine. We're also playing Double Solic, which honestly, I think that this card is pretty good. We are not citing Crime, which is fine. Obviously, like, Fairy Tale Snow is the best card in this deck. Like, this card just facilitates like every level of degeneracy that you could ever want to see in a deck like this. I also find it very interesting that you are seeing something like TC Boo down here. Like, don't underestimate Floodgates when you get into a deck like tier here, especially like on the regional level, because I mean, you never know what you're going to see behind doors when you open up, you know, these particular things, and you're like, okay, you know, like, maybe for this matchup I do need to side in this TC Boo, you know, will this give me the most advantage tree for this? And I mean, the answer is, as long as like this card does not hurt you, or you can play around any sort of application that this might hurt you. In terms of like main decking outs for like problematic cards in the format called Mystic Mine, yeah, you definitely have these. You have the Cosmics, you have the Feather Duster. It's what, like 6 ounce overall? You can definitely tell that the format has evolved away from Mystic Mine as of late, because just the sharp increase in Spell and Trap card hate has pretty much detoured that card out of the format, which I think is a good thing. You know, when you can force something like that out of the room and still get the chance to maintain the flow of the metagame. All right. And last as we have for you guys here is another Sprite list. Now, this would be 7th place Alberto Benitez. Only notes on this list that he mentioned. All right, he said he runs 3 Sunny Snitch because he can't afford 2 Prosperity right now, but would prefer 1 Sunny Snitch, 2 Prosperity. All right, well, it's actually cool that it worked out in favor of that. 3 Nib is to wipe out tier player boards, especially if they try and go the Nightmare Griffin God board. Initially was 3 Controller, but felt that the tiers preferred sending up the Virus rather. And then 3 Talents in the main is so that I can... as I have seen a decline in board breakers in the main deck. Oh, yeah, that is true, actually, for metagame trends here. That we have been seeing a lot less, like, board breaker-esque cards within the main decks. You know, the format was, like, in that very over-hyper-aggressive phase where you would just smash through with the giant board breakers and, you know, run it on home effectively. But there has been a generic decrease in things like that. And, you know, honestly, like, still seeing, like, the Evil Twin package functioning here, even if it's not, like, in great, crazy numbers, like, this engine is still pretty solid at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Like, it's all just level 2, rank 2 spam, and we don't even get a chance to play Gamma Burst. But I think it is good to see that, you know, yeah, you might not be able to afford, like, Prosperities or something just yet. It looks at Sprite Blues here, but overall it does show that there's a lot of working pieces in the metagame, and it's all working out, and that's what you like to see. So, guys, please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.